Okay, I'm outside. There's old brown socks right there. I think her little brother just ran by, and there he is. That's Spot right there. There's a little lady over there. She'd been doing really well on her 3 legs. I watched her run alongside of my van today, and she had to be doing a good 10 or 12 miles per hour on 3 legs. Doing great. Anyway, I'm going to finish off the video on the water, and I'm being blocked from the wind right now because it's coming from the back side of the cabin. But in a second, I'm going to step out into it. So here we go. Oh, you guys make a mess with everything around here. All right. So I did end up filling it almost all the way up. And I took my time coming back. I did about 8. Sometimes I hit 10 miles per hour. Took me a little longer to get here, but I'm here safe, and so's the water, so I'm ready to go. I'm going to be using this water soon, so I'm not going to transfer it into that tote. I'm actually just going to bring a hose out, connect it to the valve I put on here. This is my latest setup. So I'll connect it right to that, and I'll connect it to the pump system in the garden area so that I can just pump straight out of this tank rather than transferring it and then pumping it. And then when my neighbor calls and says that those barrels that I drained are full and ready for drain again, I'll go get some more. All right, so here in the garden, oh, it's not blowing so bad in here. You remember that weird plant that was right here and the other one that was growing over there? Well, it turns out that they were a plant called velvet leaf. And although they can be used for medicinal purposes, it's nothing that I would need. And they're also known as problem plants because they steal the nutrients from other plants and cause them to not grow very well. So that's what happened with my kale here. So it was growing right here, and it was cutting the nutrients to the kale. And the same with this cucumber or squash plant, whatever this is. So yeah, I pulled those things up, and they're laying on the ground here drying out because they were starting to get their flowers on them, and those flowers usually end up with a bunch of seeds in them, and I didn't want those getting into anything out here. So the reason I threw them down here is I'm going to let them dry out a little bit, along with that little tree that died right there, and then I'll throw those in the next trash burning fire pit and burn them up so I don't have to worry about those seeds spreading through my garden and my property. I don't need any problem plants around here. So my pears are still going here. I gave everything a really good soaking yesterday to finish emptying that tote so I would have plenty of room to gather more water for today. Now if he calls me and says, I got those things full and I need to get them emptied, that's fine. What I'll do is then I'll pump it and transfer it, because the way I used those pumps today that I showed you the setup I was using, now it only took me 2 hours to pump 250 gallons. So that was acceptable time. Last time I only got 170 gallons or so, and that ended up taking me almost all day. I was there for like 6.5 hours. So my little pump setup worked a little bit better today. All right, so tomato plants. They're all looking nice and healthy. Tomatoes are starting to get bigger. And I noticed, I noticed the one I was looking for the other day is right there. And I got some more in those plants over there. So they're starting to produce tomatoes, and that's a good thing. So I'll stay on top of this, keep everything watered as need be, and pretty soon I'll be eating nice, fresh tomatoes. Now, I forget what I planted here, whether it was squash or whatever, but it's grown really well. It's taken off all over the place. So I gave that a good soaking. My figs are all looking good here. Got some nice looking figs on there. Something about figs that some of you may not know. Figs will not ripen unless they ripen on the tree. So if you take them off before they're ripe, they'll never ripen. You'll never be able to eat them. You've got to let them ripen on the tree, and they will turn brown when they're ripe, or kind of a brownish color. But that one's hard as a rock. It's a little on the dead side. But I got plenty of them on here. That tree was looking really sad, and it just needed a little bit of loving care and some fresh water. So I got that to it, and that's concerning me is that little branch down there that comes off of this peach tree. I might have a critter in here that bit that branch off. And if that's the case, I'm going to get my little trap out here and see if I can catch me a critter or two. All my citrus trees, they're looking really healthy, doing great. They needed a lot more water, so I've been giving them a lot more water because we've been hitting the hundreds every day, and I just checked the weather report, and it's just going to get hotter through this week into next weekend. And we're talking getting close to the 110 degree mark. So that's going to be a challenge there. So I'm going to definitely need a bunch of water. Keep things going here. So I got to get these things tied up. Of course, if I don't, I'll bet you I'll still get tomatoes. So I used to grow tomatoes, excuse me while I do this. I used to grow tomatoes all the time and never worried about tying them up. Let them fall down on the ground and they still produce tomatoes. Not as good as they would when they were tied up and pruned and all of that stuff, but they still did produce tomatoes. So hopefully I'll be fine. Now I think I got a critter underground on that tree right there because it's all drying up. And I went over there and I rocked the tree and it moves too easily. So something's gotten to the root section and is eating all the roots off that tree. Now I flooded it with water. And if there's something under there eating up roots, usually when you flood it, you can drown them if they happen to be in there. But if they don't happen to be there and they come back later, it just keeps on going and progressing and you lose the tree. So hopefully, I've lost the apple that was on there. That's all wilted and everything now. So hopefully I'll throw some fertilizer on there and keep it really soaked, and it might come back and it might not. That's a lot of years of tree growth there. That's all going to waste. My grapes are starting to look pretty good here. Got quite a few grapes around, and won't be long now before I'll be munching on those. And I'm not going to film it while I go take some peas today. Yep. So anyway, I didn't film it the other day either, and I dug some potatoes up. And it was nothing to brag about anyway. I got maybe 4 good-sized potatoes, and the others were all potato seeds. So they that one setup, I didn't put enough soil amendments in it to keep the soil from compacting. The soil ended up getting too tight, and that limits the growth of potatoes. But anyway, pepper plants are looking good, and the purslane, the chickens, when I walk up towards the coop and I yell out, any of my chicks want greens, they all come running outside and wait for me. They love those greens. And I got some flowers on the cucumber plant, so I'll start producing some cucumbers pretty soon. And we'll see what goes from there. All right, everybody, this was a wash. Doesn't get enough sun, and I don't know what these plants are, but the chickens will eat them. I got 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. Haven't got a clue what they are. And everything else didn't make it, so I have to put some good amendment into this soil and get it ready for next year's planting. And all of these scions, they're all dried and dead, so those will end up in the compost. And that's it. I'm going to head inside, and before I do, I want to say thank you to Craig for the whatever. You know what I mean. Thank you, Craig. And one other thing is I've been chatting with Pierre from Heat Seeker Bus, which turned into the Backyard Bus, which is now null and void. Look at all these dogs laying around here. You guys found a shady place with some wind, huh? All right. I wish you'd quit tearing up all your blankets, though. Those are all supposed to be inside your house, not out here for chew toys. Anyway, look at this mess. And I did want to go around and clean up today. Oh, there's my pigeons. That's Jonathan Livingston Pigeon. Right, buddy? He comes over and visits with me every day. Oh, there's another one. It looks like a male and a female. All right. That's it, everybody. I want to thank you for joining me. This is G Bear signing off.